now having to have a harbour tour. I've just been on HMS Warrior across the way there, and I found that very interesting. And now we're going on another boat, but this time we'll actually sail around the harbour and see some of the ships that are in.
Well, good afternoon folks. For those of you that just joined us here at the historic dockyard, welcome aboard the Alley Cat. Right, if you just start off by looking across at the big black three-masted ship here called the Warrior. That's the right-hand side of the vessel. For the first half of the harbour tour, everything you're going to look at is over that side. Warrior was the first of our iron-hulled warships. Built in 1859 on the River Lee, commissioned in 1860. It was built on an 18-inch thick Burma teak frame that after they bolt the iron plates onto. The ship was steam-powered as well as sail. In its day, considered to be so formidable, nobody wanted to go anywhere near it. It never even got to fire a shot in anger. It was the pride of Queen Victoria's fleet. It was the head of the Red Fleet back in those times, when Britain had three fleets: the red, the white, the blue. HMS Warrior was built by a company called the Thames Iron Works. They had their own little football team, which over the years becomes West Ham. This is why their nickname is the Hammers, or the Irons, because of the Thames Iron Works. So please keep looking over the right hand side, the side that the Warrior is, remember, for the first half of the tour. Everything we're going to look at is over that side. It's the start of HMS Nelson. This is 3.5 miles of continuous quay operated by the Navy. The red brick building with the stone tower, it's Semaphore Tower, home to the Queen's Harbour Masters. We call them QHM for short. They have total control of every vessel's movement in and around this port, from the smallest workboats right up to the largest of the cross-channel ferries. They're always watching with radar and CCTV, and they have Ministry of Defence Police who patrol 24 hours a day. The blue building over to the right of us here then was the waiting room of a Victorian railway station. It was the end of the line, literally, for the troop trains, supply trains now and again. The very occasional royal train stopped here. Okay, tied up over on Victory Jetty is the aircraft carrier, the Prince of Wales. Let's just head down that way. So Prince of Wales here is the second of the QEC, the Queen Elizabeth class carriers. At 65,000 tons, these are the largest carriers ever built for the Navy. They were mostly built in Rosyth. 280 metres long, 39 metres wide at the waterline, 70 metres wide up on the top. A full quota of aircraft is 36. Most of these will be the F-35B Lightning II multi-role fighters. The rest will be all the different types of helicopter. The crew complement on board a carrier, 700 people. Now they also have purpose-built sleeping quarters for 250 Royal Marine Commando and their equipment. Once you add all the pilots, the air crew and the technicians, now you're up and around jet wash from their jet engine damage or destroying. Now the system has to be applied in near perfect conditions, so they choose to apply it underneath those marquees. Those big blue units there are what is how they put the system down onto the runway. On the bottom of the ship, the painters have been going round, touching up any of the rust. They've had to stop there because that's where the divers are operating from at the moment. Now as I'm talking to you, the tide is starting to go back out to sea now. Why I mention this is Portsmouth Harbour naturally was a very, very shallow harbour. And back in Napoleonic times, when you got here to where we are now, they call this the North Corner. When the tide went out, all of this half of the harbour would dry away, leaving miles of marshland and mudbanks. You couldn't use it. Back in those times, we had at our disposal thousands of Napoleonic prisoners, and we get them to dig by hand the whole harbour out. It takes them years. More mud was dug out of Portsmouth by hand than the whole workings, both sides, and including digging out the Channel Tunnel that was achieved machinery. If this wasn't enough for these guys to do, looking over to the right, you can see 5 dry docks. There's you can see the back of a destroyer, look at the second one. The long black gates, the yellow railings. Now each one of these big dry docks will take you into a 30-acre lagoon. We have these prisoners digging this one out too. When they finish digging that out over there, they line the floor with bricks. They let the water flow back in. So you can keep it high tide back there, no matter what's going on outside here. Now that destroyer, in the second dry dock there, was over here on that wall until this morning. Put that in there this morning. It's the Dauntless. So over there you've got Dauntless, Diamond, Dragon, and the Duncan. We're just going to head down to the Defender, destroyer number 36. Now, the Daring class Type 45, the role of the ship, it's all about the radar, it's a missile tracking system. The multifunctional Samson radar. The ship is 152.4 metres long and weighs 7,350 tonnes. The crew complement on board a destroyer, 190. Now there is also purpose-built sleeping accommodation space for an extra 44 people, because generally they too will take a detachment of Royal Marine Commando around. These ships have a fully automatic self-loading 4.5-inch cannon. They can carry 48 Aster missiles. They have miniguns and 30mm cannons, and they all have the Vulcan Phalanx close-in weapon system. That's those white pillbox. Radar-guided Gatling guns. They fire 53 bullets per second through the multi-barrels to shoot down the incoming missile. On the back of these destroyers you can land even the big double-bladed Chinook helicopters. They're fast, over 30 knots. 12 of these Duke-class Type 23 frigates. They started building in the mid-80s. And the last one, commissioned in 1994, is the second one down there, the Lancaster. Now they are submarine hunters, but of course that's not all they do. These frigates have been involved in every theatre of operation you can throw at them. They've had great success in anti-piracy patrols around the world, same level of success looking for drug runners. As we're coming down to HMS Lancaster, look, they're testing. They're doing a load test on the little derricks used to lower the boats. Look, that's full of water, that yellow, and they know exactly how much it weighs. You see, they're hanging it off the cranes to test its maximum load weight. You can see the little tube at the bottom of the they just pull that down and pull the water drains out. They're getting ready to go to the Gulf. Look, they're getting all the stores coming on board and everything. Look, loading the ship right up today. Won't be long before she'll be gone for 2 years. They don't come back. They swap crew. The ship stays. Those massive sheds over to the right used to be the site of BAE Systems. Sadly, we don't build ships here anymore, but we do have the contract for the maintenance. Now the Wave Knight was a fast fleet tanker. You would rendezvous with this ship out at sea. And if you needed any fuel, she'd fill you up with fuel. But then if you wanted water, food, ammunition, spare parts, it was all on board here. She'd pass it over to you. Now she's been sent to Portsmouth to be held in reserve. They're going to mothball the ship. Now folks, generally this isn't a good thing because apparently what it is she's a little bit too small. She can't refuel the aircraft carriers. This is done by bigger, newer ships called Tide-class tankers. So this one really is pushed to the side, surplus to requirements. If they don't call that ship back into service over the next 5 years, which they never do, you'll see it ends up at a scrapyard in Turkey, being ripped apart for the metal. The round stone tower over here was built by some of those Napoleonic guys digging out this end of the harbour. We got them to build it so our guards could get up on the top here and try to keep some sort of watch over them. They really were scattered like ants everywhere, digging all of this harbour. If they could cause any problems, trouble or mischief, they would. The tower is the end of the Royal Naval Quay, and everything down the bottom here is the commercial port known as Portico. Portico are the second biggest importers of fruit and vegetables in the UK, second only to Dover, and in particular they bring up to 70% of UK's bananas here. We are the second busiest ferry port in the UK too. Now I just heard about 2 minutes ago on my VHF radio, I heard the first of the lunchtime Brittany ferries. He was about 6 miles away. Today it's the ship called the Normandy, and it's just coming to the end of its 5-hour and 55-minute crossing from Port Wiesrum, which is Caen. Now this evening they will arrive from Cherbourg, Le Havre, Saint Malo. Last night the ship came in from Santander in Spain, so we've still got one to come from Bilbao too. setback. It's eventually completed in 2004. The estimated build cost was £6 to £8 million. 4 years behind schedule, it rockets to 34 million. On a very clear day, they say from the platforms, you can sometimes see 23 miles or more of continuous coastline. Folks, just here to the right, Spice Island, and it's steeped in history. Over here, Sir Walter Raleigh brings the first tobacco, potatoes and spice plants when he comes back from the Americas in the late 1500s. Years later, they press gang hundreds of people into the Navy from here. Some of these people never get to come home. It could be a brutal existence. You have to be really lucky to have survived the whole 5 years of service. More so if you had a nasty type of cabin. Now we're just coming up to the first of the 2 stops. This is Gun Wharf Quay. Now if you're getting off here, could you please just check, have you